morning, dear devotees that are present here in the temple, and those of you that are virtually present. Thank you so much for coming. So today we're continuing with our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are on 10th canto, chapter 54, and we shall be reading about the marriage of Krishna and Rukmini. So this is a very auspicious time because we've just honored Lord Balaram's appearance, and then next Monday is Janmashtami. So we're very fortunate that we are in the 10th canto and we get to meditate on the different aspects of Krishna Lila and Balaram's role. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamuna Tera Manachari Yamuna Tera Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitaga Haribo, 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 Nitai Go Haribo. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shirade. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Pavagatariya Sutara Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Pavagatariya Sutara Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Sridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavana Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Gokul Dham Ki Jai. Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Sahamaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lordship Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ekanatimidandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chaksu Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'm very happy to have the opportunity to speak on this most transcendental topic, although I am not qualified, but as when we speak, not only do we benefit, but all the living entities benefit, because when we're reciting Krishna Katha, we're not reciting it on our own, but we're just being an instrument for the previous acharyas to speak through us if we allow them. So I'm going to be starting with reading the chapter summary, the marriage, of Krishna and Rukmini. But before that, I'm just going to do a very brief summary so we know how we got here. So we spent a lot of time studying chapter 53, which began with Rukmini having this one-pointed determination that she wanted Krishna as her husband. So that was the first lesson that we learned there, was the importance of having this one-pointed determination. And just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, those who worship me with love and devotion, I give them the understanding by which to come to me. So Rukmini was given the intelligence how to strategically plan for Krishna to come and to kidnap her. So that was a very important point. We also saw the anxiety that she was going through, the anticipation, will he come, will he not come, what is going to happen? And we could also learn that lesson that sometimes there'll be anxiety within our devotional life, but we can understand that there is a much greater plan than we can even imagine. And then we saw how Krishna came very peacefully into town and very heroically placed Rukmini on his chariot. And there were so many princes and so many kings there. And it was also explained they were so attracted to the beauty of Rukmini that they fell off their horses. They just completely zonked out. And the important point was explained that Rukmini actually is, she's the eternal wife. She's a goddess of fortune. So who those personalities saw was not actually Rukmini. It was a Mayak form of Rukmini. So their own lust, their own anger, their own greed to enjoy is going to lead to what's going to take place in this chapter. So it's all connected. So there's so many lessons that we can learn. And not that everyone who came was demoniac by nature, but by their own material desires, by the association, they became influenced. So this brings us to our point now where all these kings and princes that fell off their horses, now they've gotten themselves back up and they're ready to chase Krishna. Like, how dare he come and he steal the wife of Shishupal? They're like all fired up. And, are they really fired up for that reason, or they are Kshatriyas and they just like to fight? So we'll learn more about that now. Chapter summary. This chapter describes how Lord Sri Krishna defeated the opposing kings after kidnapping Rukmini, disfigured Rukmini's brother Rukmi, brought Rukmini to his capital and married her. So as we know, Rukmi is the brother of Rukmini, and he just by nature was not favorable to Krishna. He didn't like Krishna, and therefore he wanted politically his sister to marry Shishupal. As Sri Krishna was taking Princess Rukmini away, the inimical kings gathered their armies and pursued him. Lord Baladev and the generals of the Yadava army turned to face these opponents, blocking their advance. The enemy armies then began pouring incessant showers of arrows upon Lord Krishna's army. Seeing her husband-to-be forces under such violent attack, Srimati Rukmini looked at Sri Krishna fearfully. But Krishna simply smiled and told her there was nothing to fear because his army would surely destroy the enemy in short order. So also I wanted to make one comment here. So Krishna is taking away Rukmini. These inimical kings are gathered. And Lord Balaram, knowing that Krishna had come alone, he followed with the Yadava army. So we will be reading also on Balaram's appearance day how Lord Balaram is always there to assist, and he takes the role of an older brother. So Balaram appears with the whole army, and they're going to protect Krishna. And another important point that came up in yesterday's class by His Holiness Bear Krishna Das Goswami was from the Mahabharata, that we have to see that this particular pastimes that are taking place, there's many levels of them. So on one level, we have this beautiful love story between Rukmini and Krishna. It's not the Krishna of Braj, it's Krishna taking his other forms when he leaves Braj. At the same time, there's still some sweetness there. It's a love affair. But then we see that we see that the armies, they're out there just to completely, destroy, think they can destroy Krishna. But this is not just from this one lifetime. This goes back this is a generational problem that's been taking place between the demons and the demigods. So from the Mahabharata, we see how Krishna was actually called to come to the earth to annihilate the demons. So this is the beginning of leading to the Battle of Kurukshetra, the beginning of ridding the earth of these particularly demoniac personalities. So this also shows us that sometimes we don't see the whole picture. We see that what's just happening now, and we don't realize that it's part of a whole perfectly orchestrated drama that Krishna is arranging. And we see here that Rukmini, all of a sudden she becomes anxiety again. What's going to happen to Krishna? And Krishna just smiles with this beautiful smile. And he says, there's nothing to worry about. His army would surely destroy the enemy in short order. So we know that Krishna's chariot had the flag of Garuda on it. So wherever there's Garuda, there's going to be victory. And Krishna himself could have destroyed them all. He didn't even have to be there to destroy them. But in order to play out this drama, Krishna is having all these different activities take place. Lord Balaram and the other heroes then began to annihilate the opposing army with Naraka arrows. The enemy kings, headed by Jarasandha, retreated after suffering the destruction of their armies at the hands of the Yadavas. So these enemy kings, which Jarasandha was part of, after being suffering and by the Yadavas, they decided, this is not worth it, Shishupal, he's not fighting himself, so it's really not worth it. So they retreat. Jarasandha goes and consoles Shishupal. Happiness and distress are never permanent and are under the control of the Supreme Lord. 17 times Krishna defeated me, but in the end I was victorious over him. Thus, seeing that victory and defeat are under the control of destiny and time, I have learned to not succumb to either lamentation or joy. Time favors the Yadavas, so they have defeated you with only a small army, but in the future time will favor you, and you will surely conquer them. So he's giving, transcendental advice here. Don't lament. Everything is in the hands of time. And we also see how here Jarasandha, somehow he thinks that he defeated Krishna, but actually Krishna jumped off the mountain with Balaram only because he wanted to go save Rukmini. Consoled in this way, Shishupal took his followers and returned to his kingdom. Rukmini's brother, Rukmi, who hated Krishna, was infuriated by Krishna's kidnapping of his sister. So after vowing before all the kings present that he would not return to Kundina until Krishna had been destroyed and Rukmini rescued, Rukmini set out with his army to attack the Lord. Ignorant of the Lord's glories, Rukmi boldly went out to attack Krishna in a lone chariot. He approached the Lord, struck him with arrows, and demanded that he release Rukmini. Sri Krishna fended off Rukmi's weapons, breaking them to pieces. Then he raised his sword high and was about to kill Rukmi when Rukmini interceded and fervently pleaded that her brother's life be spared. So here we see that we can think, how could, Rukmi be so impudent that he can just, think he can challenge Krishna? But this is the mentality of thinking that we can enjoy separately from Krishna, that our plan is better. So in our own little mundane way, we're challenging Krishna all the time when we're not surrendering. And Rukmini, being soft-hearted, even though her brother's done so many horrendous activities, she's also thinking, this is my brother. It's my marriage day, please don't kill my brother. Lord Krishna did not kill Rukmi, but with his sword he shaved off bits of Rukmi's here and there, leaving him disfigured. Just then Baladev appeared on the scene with the Yadava army. Seeing Rukmi's disfigured, he gently reproached Krishna. To disfigure such a close family member is as good as killing him. Therefore, he should not be killed but set free. Lord Baladev then told Rukmini that the sorry condition of her brother was only the fruit of his past work, since everyone is responsible for his own happiness and suffering. He further instructed her about the transcendental position of the jiva's soul and how the illusion of happiness and distress is simply a result of ignorance. Accepting Lord Balaram's instructions, Rukmini gave up her sorrow. So Balaram, the older brother, he comes, he says something to Krishna, a little chastisement, but then to Rukmini, he gives her transcendental knowledge. And this is such an important point for all of us that we can't blame anyone else for our condition or suffering, that by our own activities we've created those reactions that are coming to us at different times. Rukmini, meanwhile, felt totally frustrated. Deprived as he was of all his strength and his will to fight, since he had vowed not to return home without conquering Krishna, Rukmini constructed a city on that very spot and took residence there in a mood of undiminished anger. So Rukmini was still just like they say, stewing in his own juices, so to speak. He was just so overcome with anger. So this also is another lesson of the danger of anger, how it keeps one from being able to discriminate and keeps one in ignorance. Lord Krishna took Rukmini to his capital, Dwarka, and married her. All the citizens celebrated in lavish style, broadcasting throughout the city accounts of how the Lord had kidnapped Rukmini. Everyone in Dwarka was delighted to see Lord Krishna united with Rukmini. Om Gana Timarandasya Gana Ganesh Lakaya Chaksumilitanyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we'll be going on to the first verse, and we did the summary now, and then as we go through the different verses, we'll be going into greater depth and reading the different commentaries of the different acharyas. We can also just see here how perfectly orchestrated everything is. So beginning now, text 1, Srimad Bhagavad 10:54-1. Shri Sukuvacha iti sarvesu samribda vahan ayuya damashitaha swai swaya balai parikanta avinudrita karmakuha. Devotees. Shri Sukuvata iti sarve susambraja vahan arudam sita swaswai sware balikranta avinodrita kamaka. Shri Sukovacha iti sarve susambraja Aranadurakamsita Aneswaya Balai Prakanta Anvirjita Kamarika Shri Sukovacha iti sarve susamrabda paramaruhadam sitaha swai swai palik prankanta anviyordu kamika. Shri Sukovacha iti sarve susambraya vamaruyadam sita swaswai swai bali prakta anviyordu kamika. Anyone else? Shri Sukovacha. Sukadeva Goswami said, iti, thus speaking, sarve, all of them, susamrabdahi, greatly angered. Vahan, their conveyances. Aruya, mounting. Damshitaha, wearing armor. Swai, each by his own. Valahai, military force. Parikranta, surrounded. Anivu, they followed. Drita, holding. Kamukaha, their bows. Translation. Sukadev Goswami said, having thus spoken, all those infuriated kings donned their armor and mounted their conveyances. Each king, bow in hand, was surrounded by his own army as he went after Lord Krishna. We can repeat together. Sukadev Goswami said, having thus spoken, all those infuriated kings donned their armor and mounted their conveyances. Each king, bow in hand, was surrounded by his own army as he went after Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtashtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there's a few short commentaries which we will be reading. At first, I'd like to encourage you all to see how visual is a Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we read, not that we read and we just go on, oh, this is just very short, but actually we allow ourselves to picture what's going on here. There were these kings and they were very infuriated. Why they were infuriated? Because Kama, Osha, Krodha, the mode of passion, they had this mode of passion and they were very attracted to the beauty of Rukmini. And they heard that Shishupal also was going to marry Rukmini, but that Krishna might be coming to cause trouble. So they'd all very proudly come. They'd all very proudly come with all their armies. So there's countless different kings and princes there. And they're all surrounded by their army and they're dressed with their, fancy armor and, very proud of their position. And then next thing you knew, they fell off their horse just seeing Rukmini. And as we said, they didn't see the real Rukmini. They saw the Maya Rukmini because they can't see spiritual. So they couldn't see Krishna and they couldn't see Rukmini. They saw what their own mind was conjecturing. So then they became very angry. Oh, we must attack this Krishna. He's stealing away Rukmini, who's meant for Shishupal. So they were just very fired up and turning red. And as I said, they were in ignorance because they had so much passion. And then when they felt frustrated. And they had their bow in their hand, and then they were surrounded. So you can picture Krishna as just like they're on the chariot with Rukmini. And then the next thing you know, there's all these armies, and they have their bow in their hand, and they're all getting ready to attack from all directions. So as we read previously in the summary, it was a cause of anxiety to look around and see yourself surrounded by a bunch of angry kings. So we'll read Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. This chapter describes the defeat of Jarasandha and others, the disfiguring of Rukmini, consolation of disfiguring of Rukmi, consolation of Rukmini, and the wedding of Krishna and Rukmini in Dwarka. So this is a very action-packed chapter here. Jiva Goswami says, they mounted elephants and other conveyances. When they had fainted, they had dropped their weapons and fell on the ground. Now they took up their bows and mounted their elephants again. So this is quite a visual. There are these gigantic elephants, and they're riding on their elephants, just like, here they come. And I'm sure they were a little bit embarrassed because they had fallen off, and they had to pick up their weapons and everything. So this is the beginning of a great drama, actually, and a very important pivot in the history, because this will be leading ultimately to the Battle of Kurukshetra. And during that time, all the demoniac forces will be gathered, and in one place, many of them destroyed. So now we're coming to Janmashtami, which is the appearance of Lord Krishna. So we know that it appears that Krishna appears as the son of Devaki, as almost like a teenager with 4 arms, but that actually he's the son of Mother Yasoda. And is explained, it was, Bear Krishna has explained how that Vasudeva form of Krishna is taken to Gokul, where Mother Yasoda is, and then enters into the Brajanandana form. And then Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So this Krishna, who's marrying Rukmini and will be living in Dwarka, that's Dwarkadish. And when he was in Mathura, he was Mathuradish. And there's different relationships. Here we see that Krishna is getting married. He's entering into the Swakiya relationship. And we can understand that the Parakiya relationship is explained that to be the sweetest. So what's in the material world, what's considered abominable in the spiritual world is considered very high. Also, we've been reading about Lord Balaram, and we see how Lord Balaram, his original form also was spoken, is also there in Vrindavan, the son of Mother Yohini. And his expansion form is in these other places of pastime. So Lord Balaram is always accompanying Krishna. In Vrindavan, Lord Balaram is there along with Lord Krishna. They're stealing butter together and causing all kinds of mischief. But then sometimes Balaram, being the older brother, will tell on Krishna, oh, Krishna was eating dirt, Mata. Krishna was eating dirt. And then Krishna opens his mouth, Mother Yasoda looks in, and she sees all the universes there. But because she's so full of this Vatsalya Prem, she can't imagine these things. Krishna's just always her boy. So that same Krishna that was her boy, he's always going to be her boy. He's always going to be in Vrindavan. But now he's there fighting these demons because he was given this mission. And when Krishna didn't want to leave Vrindavan, because the gopis were crying when Akrura was taking him away, he didn't want to leave. He was jumping off the chariot. Balaram had to remind him, actually, you have a mission to perform. You must come and annihilate the demons. So as we spoke during the introduction, that this is a whole plan that's gone on for generations. And in the summary study, it talks about the timing for things, that this is a time that the demons are victorious, or this is a time that the demigods are victorious, that the Lord is equal to all. But we can understand that one who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, he's always under their protection. And Krishna fulfills the desire. So I was quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Gita, verse 10:10, and I wanted to read a little bit of that, purport by Srila Prabhupada, because I find it very, very encouraging. I can get let me get this open. Okay. Tesham satanam yuktanam, bhajatam priti purvakam, dadami buddhi yogam tam, yenamam upyante te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Tesham, unto them, satata yuktanam, always engage, bhajatam, in rendering devotional service, priti purvakam, in loving ecstasy. So here's the key here, loving ecstasy. Dadami, I give, buddhi yogam, real intelligence, tam, that, yena, by which, mam, unto me, apayanti, come, te, they. So what is this real intelligence? This real intelligence is to understand what is the goal of life and to arrange one's life in such a way that one is living accordingly in a proper way. So those that were against Krishna, they're not living their life in a proper way. It's very simple. They're trying to make all their own arrangements and thinking by their own strength, by their own military forces, they will outdo Krishna. So how does it apply to us? Sometimes we think my plan is a better plan. And then we become frustrated, like Rukmini's